Thank you, Mr. Chairman, I'm glad we're convening this hearing. I want to thank our witnesses for being here today. It's been very informative. Big Tech currently has and we've said this over and over, the unilateral control over much of public debate today, and it's concerning a lot of Americans. And the tech landscape has evolved dramatically since 1996, and I'm glad we're, like I said, holding this hearing today. And I thank you for giving us the opportunity to learn more about the potential reforms needed in Section 230. Dr. Franks, you noted in your written testimony that the New York Times and Fox News have no special sweeping immunity from liability the way the tech industry does. The newspaper and television industries have not collapsed under the weight of potential liability, nor can it plausibly be argued that the potential for liability has constrained them to publishing and broadcasting only anodyne, non-controversial speech. My question is, do you think that a provision designed to incentivize screening and blocking offensive material should extend to shielding internet companies from liability for harms arising from algorithmic recommendations and amplification of content?
I want to reinforce again that the idea that algorithmic amplification, sorting, this is a very large category, and therefore I would be hesitant to say that there's something about that specifically that is something that would lead to categorically a situation where there should be no immunity under Section 230, precisely because C2 makes so clear that any attempt to restrict access to harmful content is something that should be rewarded with that immunity. Those systems, the algorithmic sorting systems that are so often used for bad purposes, can also be used for very good purposes if only there were an incentive for companies to use them this way, to actually divert people away from some of that harmful content.
A key cause of today's internet toxic environment is that digital platforms are shielded from liability in a world where clickbait attracts greater attention and advertising revenue, and absence of liability creates a perverse incentive for platforms to surface, disseminate, and amplify low-quality, outrageous, addictive, harmful, and illegal content. Dr. Stranger, you stated in your written testimony that while Section 230 perpetuates an illusion that today's social media companies are common carriers like the phone companies, they are not. Unlike Ma Bell, they curate the content they transmit to users. You also noted in Section 230 has also created fictitious platforms that are in reality publishers, since they curate the content via recommended algorithms and content moderation. Traditional media is held liable for publishing defamation and untruths, while big tech companies are accountable only to their shareholders. Dr. Stranger, what do you think Congress should do to right the imbalance that currently exists?
Thank you very much for that question. I think it's really important to realize the way our media ecosystem has changed as a result of Section 230. Traditional media is dying. You're seeing it reduced to a few big newspapers. And then there are all kinds of special bulletins that you can subscribe to for money to get your news in a particular issue area. Now, an institution like the New York Times or the Wall Street Journal, they are meticulous about going over their sources to be sure that they're not publishing something libelous, because that can be ruinous. So in a sense, they're clearing material, then social media posts it, but guess who profits from it? Guess who gets the ads? The social media companies. And this seems to me to be a problem for traditional media to be liable for what they publish, but the social media companies are not. The way to deal with this is to abolish Section C1. I'd make one other point about recommender algorithms. They really are intervening in ways we can't understand. I would like it very much if I got to choose my own algorithm.
Right.
And that's something you could think about as well.
They're addictive. I mean,
Yeah.
Certain people have addictive behavior, and then all of a sudden they're addicted, and they can't do without this stuff. A question for the entire panel. Well, I'm out of time, but maybe you can answer this. after the hearing, or in writing, should generative artificial intelligence receive Section 230 liability protections? And if you just give us an answer to that after the hearing, since I'm out of time now, you're back